take you home.
Hello and welcome to the Help My Unbelief podcast, the #1 Christian podcast designed for the unbeliever. What's up, dude?
Hey. I went completely blank.
Did I throw you off?
No, I was thinking about the wedding that we went to last night.
What were you thinking about?
First off, it was a wedding on a Tuesday night. That was different.
I feel like that's kind of weird.
But they had a reason, though, because it was 6 years to the day that they met.
Oh.
So, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, it was like, really, on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
But we went and celebrated anyway.
Was it nice? Was it a good wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Met a very interesting, the pastor actually he is a chaplain for the Oklahoma City Police Department. So I got to meet some interesting people and
one of my old friends
had some good conversation and
was
asked to dance and said no.
You were asked to dance by a girl?
By the chaplain?
No.
I didn't
Not by a girl, but
no.
By a guy? A guy asked you to dance?
It was a line dance. They were making fun of the dancing.
I bet you could have shredded.
And because I knew the name of the Macarena, or not the Macarena, but the cha-cha, they assumed I knew the moves of the cha-cha.
Oh.
And I went,
Hold on a second.
I said, obviously, you don't watch my podcast.
Hold on a second. Why would they assume that you know the dance to the cha-cha? I don't understand why they'd assume that.
I don't know.
You wear visors. You look like you subscribe to a golf club once a year. And then you know
I don't
the cha-cha.
play golf.
No, but I'm just saying you look like
I don't even disc golf.
You don't even know. Are you making fun of me for disc golf?
No. The only golf I play is on my phone, and that I haven't even played in like 6 months.
Yeah. You're probably too busy to do much anything.
I don't have time to do anything.
That's a good thing, though, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't complain. Don't complain. Like Larry told me, he said, "Hey, you were complaining when you weren't busy. Now,
now you're complaining because you are too busy."
I'm not complaining.
No.
Can I give you guys an example about what a megalomaniac with an inferiority complex I am?
Okay.
So
sure, I know what that means.
So work called me and they said, "We want to send you. We think we're going to send you to Uvalde." We talk about complaining, right? Because it's the anniversary, 1 year anniversary. And I'm like, okay. So I told the wife, babe, we may be going to Uvalde. We need to start getting ready. And then I'm thinking, man, there's some things on my truck that still need fixing. It's supposed to go in tomorrow. So I just said a little prayer. I said, God, I appreciate the blessings of work. If you could let this cup pass from me so my truck could get finished. So they called me back like 10 minutes later and said, our staff photog's going to make it. You don't have to go.
Answered prayer.
But then a guy that I used to work with for 15 years texted me, "Hey, what's going on? I'm on my way to Uvalde." And so immediately I'm like,
I get all
butthurt.
And
I'm like,
you're like, he got that?
And then I'm sitting on the couch and going, dude, you are a mess. You're a hot mess. You ask God for something, he grants it, and then you resent him for answering. You're a mess.
It's like whenever when you're not attracted to a girl and you're like, I'm not attracted to you, and then she's like, I'm not attracted to you either, and you're like, wait, maybe I am attracted to you. It's kind of like one of those.
It's like the whole story
I'm so
of
far past that part of my life. I don't.
Right.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. I just mean when you're a kid, whenever it's okay when you're not interested in someone, but if they're not interested in you back, you're like, well, why? It's like, man.
Just the human condition. What
you
a
have
hot
to
mess.
go to those like school shootings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was at the Allen Mall shooting that happened.
Yeah.
Is that pretty dark when you go to stuff like that?
Yeah, it's not. I'm a journalist, so I've built up walls against that.
Yeah,
and that probably happened at the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah,
that was it for me. I mean, I cried every day when we went to the Oklahoma City bombing. I just had tears streaming down my face.
Yeah,
but after that, you get kind of hard because you have to.
Yeah.
So you kind of are able to step outside of what's going on and just focus on the technical parts of it.
That's why I was describing to them, I got to be careful too, because it's like stuff like that is still kind of like nothing to me.
Right.
But I was describing, somebody had mentioned that there was a contradiction.
Well, as a police officer,
yeah,
you have to do the same thing.
Someone had mentioned, so there's this, one of my, I consider him a friend. We've never really talked, but he's a big Christian creator on TikTok and social media. And somebody had confronted him with a contradiction in the Bible about two different ways that Judas died, right? Where one account says that Judas died by hanging, and then the other account says that his guts spilled out in a field. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, I can explain this one easy because
that one was both.
Yeah. I was like, because I can explain this easy because I actually witnessed that and I described what I saw. And I won't describe it here for the sake of anybody. I won't of what I'm seeing, but you can have both in that case. And I always when I read the Bible, I just always assumed, like I just knew it because I had seen it. But I guess to some people it looks like a contradiction. But to me, I know that you know that when you're, well, I'll tell you this, okay?
Do you need to?
No, I'll tell you this.
Because I'm thinking about them, not me. I can handle it.
But when your body is working and operating properly,
it holds stuff together.
Yeah, it holds stuff together and up. And gravity works, but gravity will start working if everything stops. And it has to go somewhere. And it's not going to stay where it's at. So,
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So your core does a whole lot more than people think it does.
Yes. It holds stuff
work
in.
That core.
Yeah.
It don't really matter.
Here's the thing that always blew my mind. It almost made life seem so meaningless, but the fact how quick biology will dispose of
the
you
deterioration
when
of
you
the
die
body
is like that, man. I'm talking like sometimes, especially depending on the weather, like just a couple days. And you were just like almost nothing like you were.
We're just spiritual beings flying around in these meat ships.
But it's so quick. Quick.
Some people spray paint the holes of their ship. Others don't.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's what I was saying. I was like, man, even the world gets rid of you quick when you die. It's like, get out, go back to the dirt. You know, right. It's like, man, it's kind of crazy. But
so anyway, I had to repent for being double-minded like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Bible refers to. One of the things of a double-minded man, you know.
I got up yesterday morning.
I'm sure God is like, gee whiz, dude, is there anything to make you happy?
On Monday night, I loaded up my trailer. I had all the stuff I needed for several different jobs.
Right.
And two of them are down there close to each other on the south side. So I was like, I had a lot of work. Start early. So I get up. When Darcy got up, I'm watching the weather while I'm drinking my coffee, and I watched it, and over and over and over. Okay, none of this is going to hit. So my morning is good. I have to be done before such and such time in the afternoon because I had a wedding last night. So all of it was working, right? I'm thinking I'm on fire, and I'm working by myself. So I'm on fire on this. I go down there. It starts raining.
Yeah.
It starts raining. The grass is like unbelievably high.
Right.
Because I haven't been able to make it down there because of the rain. Now, my first thing is pray for rain because then we don't have to water our lawns. Right. The second part of me is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're killing me.
Right.
Lord, I don't want to. Because I remember the drought, where the grass wasn't growing for 4 weeks,
right?
I went through such a traumatic time over the winter, though, and I was like, literally, trauma is what it was to me. That like I refused to complain. One thing I do notice that's happening right now is ever since I backed myself off that Bible study, and by the way, we are back doing. By the time you see this, we are doing the Bible study again. It's just not me that's doing it. It's a former witch named Indy. She was on the show. She's running it. And also another former witch named Gracie is assisting Indy and do that. But Indy's running it. And that's going to be from now moving forward. You probably won't ever see me on the Bible study again. Well, I will fill in. When they can't make it but it's not going to be very often. So don't get your hopes there. But Indy's far better at it than I am anyway. But one thing I did notice that, like, since I've pulled myself away from that was just one too many like irons in the fire for me. But now since I've pulled myself away from that, some of the same problems resurface in the roofing company. But instead of me going, Gon, why are you doing this? Now it's like, oh, I've got a problem. How can I approach this to fix it? It's not like, why, Gon? Why? It's like, now I'm actually developing game plans on how to get it to switch and not just sitting there going, you son of a... God's gave us our own mind to learn how to tackle that ourselves, but...
Gentlemen, he should have been there to watch the video at Ambassadors this morning, huh?
Well, that's kind of what Larry was saying. Larry told me
see the nodding heads over here?
Well, he told me that earlier too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of those things that even though I do believe God is very active in our life every day, every second, and he wants to talk to you, he wants to hear from you, he wants to direct your life. There's still some things that you have to do. Like, you can't just sit there with your thumb in your ear. I was going to say rear end, but that's a different place. You can't sit there with your thumb in your ear and then just hope for the best. God wants you to act. He gave you faculties for a reason.
And here's your proof, biblical proof. All right. David already knew he had victory over Goliath, but he still walked to the stream and picked up the stones.
He had to, or he would have died. Right.
Right.
That if he wouldn't have picked up the stone and the slingshot, that what would that giant have done to him? What would Goliath have done to him? God killed him.
God always requires
something.
us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like he's a loving father.
It's weird, man. Like, I'm just not a very smart individual, to be honest with you. Like, I'm really not. Like, I'm not saying that just to be self-deprecating.
I'm finding that out.
You're joking. I'm being serious. I'm very. I feel like I have like autism or something, because it's like, which I'm not making fun of people with autism, but I feel like I learn things way slower than other people. Like, I feel like that's an elementary thing to learn, but I'm sitting there, like I said, just waiting for God to do his thing. And
no, he's older. I'm older.
It's just a life stage thing, man.
We've already been through that phase of our life, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
It comes at a certain point.
I'm getting better at it. I still have some of those tendencies. That's just human nature. I mean, read the Old Testament. My goodness, it's just a description of human nature. Here God reveals himself to people, makes a covenant with them. How could they turn against that? And every turn, doubt.
You're walking
every turn, denial.
Yeah, the children of Israel walked around in the desert, wandered in the wilderness for 40 years.
Right.
On a trip that would have taken, 11 to 17 days.
Yeah. Right.
But they wandered around for 40 years.
Right.
Why? And because they couldn't get it and they kept disobeying.
Right. And we sit and judge them. That's the biggest thing I got, because I'm reading all of that with my wife. And I was like, I used to sit and judge them. And I said, this is a story of me. It's a story of all of us. It's a story of humankind.
We're impossible to please. We're little.
Thank God
race.
for the blood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Just thank God for Jesus.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying, because like these battles that I'm fighting, I just realize that it's never ending, man. That without the blood of Jesus, you'd be toast, man.
All right.
Actually, a little more than toast. You'd be well done toast.
Well done toast is burnt.
Right.
Isn't it?
Is that?
Toast.
I don't know.
That's right.
Well done toast.
Burnt.
Yeah. So we've still got about 15 minutes before we get our guest on, but
Well, maybe you ought to read the devotional.
No, thanks. No, nah. You want to read it on here?
Yeah, sure.
No.
No, I think you ought to read it.
Oh, you want me to read it for my personal
I
one?
think you ought to read it out loud.
Well, I read the one yesterday, so that's good for the month.
And it was fitting.
That's good for the month.
Good for the month.
Yeah.
I actually asked permission of the chaplain yesterday if I could send him that.
Cool.
And he was like, yeah. Oh. I sent it to him this morning and got an instant response. Yeah. Wow, that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, you do good.
I didn't realize until the other day when I got one, the memories on Facebook. Okay. I actually got one sent to me, and it was a devotional that I'd done.
Really?
And then I started thinking, wow, I've done this over a year. I've actually done it over 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I started doing that, and I wasn't as steady as I am now. We learn to get into particular habits of our life, not habit, because it's a pleasure, not a habit. But there are times when the schedule gets ahead of me a little bit, and I can't get to it as much.
Hey, Larry, you can have good habits.
True.
That can be pleasurable.
I don't want to call that a habit,
Right.
you know?
Well, it's like that with the type of person I am, I'm going to have habits. It's just rather they're going to be good or bad.
right?
Well, it's you get, if you develop that habit of that, there's a good way of saying it. If you develop that habit of putting God first in your life, then you'll see the other things start to come along in alignment with it. And during this time, I was down on my back. We talked about that last week a little bit. That's when all of this kind of sort of started. I was reading a devotional at my job on the radio until they shut me down for a while.
What?
But I was reading the daily devotional that we actually have here at this church.
On a radio station?
No. On a two-way radio
Oh.
at work.
I thought he said radio
Yeah,
station.
and a few people complained.
People are like,
and they said,
people are like,
"Listen,
who's that?
Hey,
Oh, that's
he's
that
going to
Larry
do
guy."
it at 8:30 every morning. Shut your radio off or turn it off or get out of your truck and go open up a gate. It only takes him 2 minutes. Leave him alone." And then it turned into, "Yeah, we don't really want you doing that."
Dang, man. Now,
That's when I first came to the Lord, man. I mean, I'm on fire for the Lord, but I was really like ignited back then. I couldn't go to Sunday school. Larry will tell you, I couldn't go to Sunday school on Sunday without giving a testimony for the week. I mean, every week I was seeing God's hand. And like one time I was coming through Tulsa and the icy roads. It was winter, icy roads. And I'm already getting goosebumps. This ambulance was coming by us and it was on the coming on the right. So I moved as far to the left as I could to be able, because he got on the highway as I'm coming. I saw him. So I moved way out of his way. And he's coming up there. And a car, I'm not sure how they missed the ambulance, but he came over in front of me. And so he's sliding sideways and ended up in front of me. And I'm looking at the point where I see my right fender going to hit this guy dead on. And he looked at me. And that car, I just said, Jesus.
Right.
I'm not kidding you. I said, Jesus. And he never made it to the wall, never hit him, and he moved out of the way and went that way.
Wow.
Out of my way.
Wow.
And I told that on Sunday morning, and I was like, you would not believe this one.
Right.
But I had stuff like that all the time where I talked about the goodness of God throughout my week. And that has turned into my daily search for God revealing something to me every day, and I typically write about it the next day.
Yeah.
In my devotional. You've been reading them for 6 months or so,
Yep.
right?
Mark also doesn't read them every day. I'm just going to tell you that straight up.
Nobody reads them every day.
He doesn't know
Except
that.
me.
He doesn't know that.
I'm just going to tell you straight
But
up.
it doesn't matter.
He's just
It
guessing.
doesn't
I'm just
matter.
saying, man. I think it's a very educated
Your
guess.
Bible, your Bible has meaning that sits in this.
Yes.
Zach, you have no
Whether you open it or not, it's still there.
you have
Yeah.
you have no evidence to back up your hypothesis.
I'm
obedience.
I'm pretty good at what I do, Mark.
My obedience is in the writing of it, not in whether
The
or not they read it.
expectation?
Yeah.
It's like whenever I was a cop, right? Whenever I was a police officer and I was an investigator, whenever you don't have a whole lot of evidence against a suspect and you go into a room, you only have one mistake to make in front of them, and your confession is shot. Because you can't just go out throwing out claims. You got to be you have to make these educated claims where you don't know, right? But it's like flipping a coin. You have to go in educated of what you think he may know or not know. And if you miss one, he's got your number. He's going to know that you don't know what you're talking about.
Look, at the beginning, that would have bothered me, that I went to all this effort. I mean, because I've been down that road and we're learning, right? And I went down that road but God gave me the word and I'm writing it and you're not reading it. And I mean, even with my wife, it's like, did you read it or
I would
devotional?
understand.
But the thing is, God reminded me, you're not writing it for them.
Yeah.
Right.
You're writing it
Out of
for
obedience
me.
to him.
Period.
Well, here's the way I look
It's
at
not to
it.
glorify me, it's to glorify him.
Here's
Well,
the way
yeah.
I look at it with you,
'Cause
right?
in the end, what does it say that says somewhere no man will be able to say that he hadn't known
boasting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's
the way I
message.
look at it is, if I was in your shoes, I'd be upset. I'd be upset in two instances if I was writing those daily devotionals. I'd be upset if someone like signed up to get those every day and be like, yeah, man, send them to me. I'd love to, or like, yeah, or wrote their email down and then they weren't reading them because you were spending your time doing it because on the basis that they said that they were going to read them. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why you're doing it. Or another reason, if someone really wasn't reading them, but they were lying to you. That's why I don't lie to you when I don't read them, because I feel like that's disrespectful. Like, I feel like that's disrespectful to you as a man. I hate being lied to.
Oh, I've had a couple that I'm like, hey, do you mind if I send you a devotional? Yeah. And about 3 months in, dude, can you take me off that?
No kidding.
That comes every morning. I mean, it's every morning,
I'll
Sunday
never
morning,
do that.
Saturday morning. It don't matter. I'm up anyway, so I write a.
Reminds me of Eurythmics.
And then sometimes when life gets in the way, it might be late in the afternoon, or I've actually had to send out a couple during the evening.
I'll never do that. I read it. Like, I know yesterday you were talking about in the devotion, you talked about sharpening your axe. And I was just, I had that spear of Phineas vision that I told everyone about. I think you were there too in that. But you were talking about you have an axe as your weapon. And I was thinking about that day that how I put sin to, or whatever you want to say, but I have a spear, And so when I read that, I just thought it was awfully fitting. And then I felt God tell me to read it. So I obeyed. But it's not that I don't think you're really good at that and stuff like that. It's just sometimes I don't like to read nothing. I don't really have the attention span to do much of anything anymore.
I understand that about you.
Really?
And the only times I don't read it are the times that I wake up and the devil's got me instead of God. When I don't make that conscious decision in the morning to put on my armor, to spend time with God. If I make that conscious decision, I read your deal. That's the way I start. If I don't, it's like, oh crap. And I'm on Facebook, and then I'm looking at my emails, and then I'm figuring out how I'm going to get some business, and then I'm on and on and on. And then that doesn't happen until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm miserable.
Yeah. Are you like that too? Like in the morning you're fine, and then as your day goes along, it just kind of goes to crap?
On the days that I don't plug in, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it goes.
It heaps on and heaps on and heaps on, and by the time you get done with the end of the day, you've got all the weight of the day that you're carrying with you, and you're worn out. Yeah.
It's distraction. It's like you're sitting in front of a big pile of speakers and you're listening to some high hair music of the 80s or something, and devil's just cranking it. And so by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a cacophony of just worldly screaming and yelling.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Elton John?
I do not.
You don't think about him ever?
I don't need to.
What
think
about back
him.
in your day? What was Elton John?
He had some great music.
I was just thinking about the Eurythmics. Would you lie to me, honey? Would I lie to you? Oh, no, wait a minute.
I was thinking
tiny dancer. I grew up in the
dancer.
age that Elton John was one of the top dudes singing. So, I mean, I at that time knew all of his songs.
Yeah.
One, the one where he sticks his head in an oven.
What?
I don't
What was
know.
that?
I just butchered Eurythmic songs.
Yeah.
So.
I'm ignoring it. No, there's
You got that right.
Yeah.
Elton John sticks his head.
It's in a song,
in oven,
or that song saved him from it.
Oven overdose.
I remember when Alice Cooper threw
That would
the
work.
chicken into the crowd.
Oh, so Sir Elton John once tried to commit suicide by putting his head in a gas oven. Oh, Rocket.
yeah.
It's Rocket Man, right?
Yeah.
Sir Elton John once tried to commit suicide by putting his head in a gas oven. The Rocket Man singer's main lyricist, Bernie Taupin, walked in on the suicide attempt, which took place when the now openly gay singer was set to marry.
Right.
A new Elton biography claims Bernie once walked in on Elton John trying to commit suicide when he was about to marry a woman named Linda Woodrow. Elton had stuck his head in the oven, but Bernie couldn't stop laughing. What?
Yeah, because that's kind of
you don't go any further. You don't need to read all that.
Right.
But the amazing thing is that during that time frame, he was an on fire singer, And like everybody else, I listened to it back then, thought it was great. I didn't develop this hatred for the secular music, back then. I went through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't name a lot of bands, and I didn't have a following. I didn't wear the shirts or any of that stuff because my mom didn't allow that. So it never developed into a habit.
But you
later
liked
on.
the fog hat. I know you did.
Oh, yeah.
What's
oh,
a
yeah.
fog
All
hat?
that southern.
The Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah.
All that southern rock and roll.
Yeah.
All of it. Yeah. I sit here and I can name a few of those bands as they come up, but my main thing was I couldn't understand a lot of the words.
Yeah.
And so, you talked about singing the wrong words to several songs and then finding out later I did the same thing.
Feeling the lamb.
But I preferred bands, and I will say the Eagles, because I could understand the words. And then I liked Huey Lewis when he came out because I liked the accompaniment. I lost that word.
You like the
horns
section?
and the horns and
Yeah.
stuff because my brother played sax and I played trumpet. So it fit my
You think you
listening
can still
ear.
play trumpet? Think you can still rip on it a little bit?
No.
No?
I mean, I don't know.
I could play taps. That's it.
Dude, if I brought you a trumpet, would you give a run at it right here online? Would you take a run at it?
And play what?
I don't care, man. Play
I
some-
haven't put a horn to my lips in a very long time.
Play that one.
So
play
my
that.
embouchure is probably quite.
I could play that song. What's the Egyptian? Egypt? No, not that one. The one with Steve Martin that he sung.
Walk like an Egyptian.
No.
Steve Martin.
Yeah,
Egyptian?
Steve Martin, Egyptian song, like 1979, something like that. King Tut. I could play King Tut.
Yeah.
I could play that on trumpet. I figured that one out real quick.
Yeah, my brother's favorite practice song was Pink Panther.
Yeah.
And of course
Taps
he
would
played the
probably
sax,
be
so-
easy.
Right.
Taps would probably be easy.
Yeah.
Have you ever played taps?
No, and I say it'd
Okay,
probably be easy.
First off, you do have to hit there's no fingers on taps. It's all done
just through the thing.
because that song was developed on a bugle, okay, which had no
Which is a
vowels.
dog.
Had no vowels. All right. So
Are you
what?
sure there's
I
no
didn't say a
finger move-
beagle, I said a bugle.
Are you sure
Yes.
there's no finger movement on taps?
Yeah. No.
He's not sure.
C C C C C C C.
Okay. Well, then I'm
bringing a
thinking something
trumpet. I'm bringing a
It's
trumpet.
all I'm sure because it was developed
else.
for the bugle.
Right.
We're gonna have a
So it's
trumpet
just
off
lip
between
movement.
Larry and Mark.
I have a bugle at home. I do have a Seventh Army bugle.
Type in the comments if you want to see a trumpet off between Mark
We're
and
not
Larry.
gonna. That's not gonna happen.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. But
Why do we go down these rabbit holes?
Because he puts us there every time.
Sorry,
It's like oh rabbit.
I don't mean
Rabbit.
to. I don't mean to. It's accident. Oh man, should we get to
So
our
we
guest?
went way down there.
Okay, let's get to our guest. Today we have on Matt Justice, which is an atheist. I met him on TikTok, just like I do all the rest of you guys. Also, anybody listening to this, if you're an unbeliever of any kind, or if you don't believe in the same thing that we do, please hit us up at info at helpmyunbelief.org. We are looking for guests. Because I'm not in the Bible study anymore, I'm having a harder time finding guests. So please hit us up there if you're interested in coming on the Help My Unbelief show. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to Matt Justice.
How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you? Are you ready to go?
Yep.
All right.
I am.
Okay, so you said you've watched a few small clips and stuff like that. So the reason why I asked that, I'm not pressuring you to watch the show or anything. The reason why I asked that, I just kind of go over like what the dichotomy of how the show goes. Did I use that word right? Dichotomy.
I think so. We'll know as you give me the definition.
All right, everyone's saying no. I just want to be upfront with you. I'm not very smart, but I try to be sometimes. Okay, so we didn't use dichotomy, right? Okay.
Dynamic, maybe?
Okay, yeah, the nomenclature of the show.
Dynamic. Definitely not knowing.
Dynamics.
Okay.
The dynamic.
Well, I was trying to use a unique word that you guys didn't give me, so I didn't. So I would seem smart.
That's big.
Nomenclature.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to introduce everybody in the room here. That way, everybody that has a mic that you might hear. That way, you're not confused. My name is Zach. I'm the young, good-looking one. I say that every week. So
he's trying to speak it into existence.
Yeah, I really don't. And then we got my executive producer, Mark.
Hello.
And
Hello.
then I've got my lovely wife, Angela.
Hello.
Hi, Angela.
And then my beautiful co-host, Larry.
The not beautiful co-host, Larry.
I don't know.
I don't claim that.
I don't know.
I
why
don't
you
compare
just won't-
myself.
I just don't know why you won't take a compliment from me, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Matt, nice to meet you.
It is a pleasure, Larry.
Okay, so how we do it is this is not a debate show or anything else like that. It's just an interview. And then what will happen at the end of the show, we will go around the room and we will say one last final statement or whatever you want to call it. And then since you're our guest, you will get the final say. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you are an atheist, correct, Matt?
Correct.
Okay. How long you been an atheist?
Well, I would say that we're all born an atheist, and then we kind of come into religion. But I've been openly atheist for probably at least 10 years now. I kind of started coming out about 15 years, maybe up to 20 years ago. But I was also, when I was young, I was baptized as a Baptist. Later in life, my ex-wife is a Catholic, so I went and took Catholicism courses and went through that whole process to become a Catholic, and was baptized Catholic after that.
We have a lot of our people are ex-Catholics on our show. A lot, like an alarming amount of people are ex-Catholics. So you said that you came out as an atheist, right? So you had spent some time in the closet, I guess you could say. I'm having a tough time figuring out how to explain that other than that. But like, what was...
I'd say that's a good way.
What was causing you to, what was causing you not to be open about your unbelief? What was causing you not to be open about it?
I will tell you, one of the big things that a lot of the atheists that I know will struggle with is when you're indoctrinated from a very young age, and that idea of this, eternal hell and fire and stuff weighs on you, and it gets stuck in your head. And I mean, when you've had that for 30, 40 years, it is hard to overcome, even when you come to, the realization for myself anyway, that I don't believe in that. I don't have any proof to believe in that existence of higher power. It makes it very difficult to still get past that. And then most of my friends and family were still, I'm going to give some air quotes here for Christian or religious, religious when necessary, I guess you could say.
Right.
But so, you don't come out, you don't want to offend anybody, you feel kind of timid. And a lot of this, I believe, comes from the indoctrination of, for me, it was Christianity personally.
And you don't want to rock the boat per se. You don't want to, it's going to cause an uproar, and you've got to be prepared for that whenever you're ready to do that. Do you still struggle with like fear of hell and like, what if this is right and stuff like that?
No, not even a little bit. I actually, I talked to many people, and I kind of walked them through it and kind of helped them to get over that fear and that belief. It's I'll tell you, something else. I don't believe in spirits. I don't believe in ghosts and things like that. But you put me in, a hospital that's been vacant for 30 years at midnight, I'm going to hear stuff all night long. I'm going to be terrified all night long.
Yeah. Yeah. So, where are you? So you said your ex-wife, are you remarried?
I am.
Is she or he? I'm sorry to assume that, but is your current spouse are they atheist as well?
My wife is atheist. Yeah.
Okay. Was that kind of like tell me if I'm saying this right, presupposition? Was that kind of, or like, was that a prerequisite for you when you were searching for?
Not a prerequisite is a good way to put it. It wasn't necessarily a prereq just because of the fact that I find myself to be a very open-minded person. I don't know too many atheists that are not very open-minded because they used to be religious. So we kind of see both sides of things. And I am someone who's going to fight for your right for religion. That's your right according to our government. I think you should have it. But as far as my wife, it just kind of worked out that way. As I said, this was, she and I have been together about 8 years, and about 10 years, I completely came out, and, I don't hide it. I think there's such a stigma that's placed on atheists. The more of us that treat it as everyday life, that it's as normal as anything else, which I believe it's more natural in most things, that you're going to get less stigma. You're going to have less people that kind of give you that look and go, oh, atheist. That's weird. Instead, it seems like more people are going, atheist. No kidding. Can you tell me something? Because I heard this. Is this true?
See, like, here's what, like, it's so, because I'm a Christian, I believe in God. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. I believe Jesus is the only way. I'm a Christian, right? And I get labeled as a person that's not open-minded because of that, right? But I've been really analyzing that lately, and I'm like, I think I'm the most open-minded that I could be as a Christian, because Larry just mentioned before we started the show, this is our 27th interview. 27th interview. Nice. And all except for 4 or 5 believed in something differently than us. Something very contradictory to what we believe. And when I read the Bible, when I pray, I literally read the Bible, and I under the lens of, I think about what these people have told me through these episodes. I don't know if you do that or not, but I do. I actually consider it. And I think it's actually strengthened my faith since I've done it, right? But I don't know. I think that's open-minded. I think that's open-minded that I do that. I actually, in private, I give it a fair shake, what people say.
I'm a lot more closed-minded.
Yeah, Larry's definitely closed-minded, yeah.
I've like I said, I've seen some of the episodes and whatnot, and I would say it's pretty open-minded to bring in people's opinions that they have and whatnot on what they believe in and or what they disbelieve in. I think it's great. I think it's a good way to get people together to try to straighten out some of the items and the rumors, if you will, that people have that, I constantly, when I see things for me, if I see somebody religious doing some kind of a talk and they're going, I had this atheist tell me once, immediately it's a red flag. Immediately. And then they go into this sermon about how they did this and that, and then they said Jesus helped them, and it's like, dude, I would say if I Googled it right now, I would say probably more than 85% of atheists used to be religious. I mean, a bunch of us, I read the Bible. I can't cite it for you word for word. I can cite certain parts of it that I know, but I couldn't cite it the way somebody who reads it every weekend could cite it. But I've started to find that I had read more of the Bible than most of the people who claim to be religious.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I've noticed that too, that a lot of Christians don't read their Bible like they should. That's for sure. But so in your case, do you remember one thing where you were like, yep, I'm out? Was there one thing where you were like, oh yeah, I'm done? Do you remember that, like the exact moment that it broke you out of Christianity?
I do. I do actually. And I will tell you like I said, I always had that, I think a lot of people are agnostic, that on the back of their mind, they're always going, what if, or as I think it was Christopher Hitchens that used to say, I'm as atheist as you are, just by one more God. Ricky Gervais or somebody said that, which I thought was pretty funny.
Ricky Gervais, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But I do remember, and it, for me, I'd already been at that point where I was like, I kind of felt guilty, like I was actually using religion only for what I needed it for, very selfish, I can't find my keys. Where are my keys? Come on, God, that kind of thing, that's not right. But the one thing that did it is my son, we sent him to a private school. It was a small Christian school. And he would come home and he would tell me things about the Bible and tell me things, that he learned that day. And I would remind him that these are, this isn't verbatim. These are just little guides to help keep you going in the right direction. And he came home one day and he said, I guess they had learned something about suicide. And he said, well, if anything ever happened to you, I would just kill myself so I could be with you forever in heaven. And I was like, that's it. I'm out.
Wow. So you were kind of teetering on the edge, and that's what set you off, huh?
Yeah, I was already, I was pretty much just not out of the closet yet.
Yeah.
And when he said that I was like, that's it. This is such a destructive, don't get me wrong. I read a lot of good stories in the Bible, but it's just religion is just, in my opinion, destructive, decisive.
Do you think Christianity is bad for society?
I do. I absolutely do.
You think it's harmful?
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have why are you so nice to us? Like you've been nothing but respectful to me. But like why are you one of the nicer ones? Because there are people that believe that Christianity is they believe the same way you do, and they're not nice to Christians. Why do you choose to take the cordial path?
Because we're still human beings. We just the thing with being an atheist is that it doesn't change me as a person. I'm still who I am. I think everything that I've seen from you guys, and I've seen Larry on the show also, and you guys seem like good guys to me. Some of my closest friends are, air quote, religious. And I just
why do you do the air quote thing?
Great people.
You don't think they follow it like they should?
I don't think I think there's very few people that follow religion the way that they'll preach religion.
But like, here's my take on that. Cause I was thinking about this earlier where, I was scrolling across one of our guests that we've had on here before. I won't say who it is, but there's 27 of them. So you can guess. Y'all can guess, but I won't tell you. But I was scrolling.
You have a chance of 1 in 27 to get it right.
Yeah, but I was scrolling through a live today, and I heard him say that. Well, I'm going to start holding Christians to the standards of the Bible, right? Like I'm going to start holding Christians the standard of the Bible. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, well, wait a second. Really, it's kind of Christians kind of bad-mouthing other Christians about, hey, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But the way I understand the Bible is that God's standard is perfection. God's standard is perfection. That standard is impossible for us to achieve, and that's why we did need Jesus. So seeing Christians making a ton of mistakes and not following Jesus' example, to me, is biblical. I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form, but we're all making mistakes. Where I think the divide has been is that Christians are like, hey, nobody should be making mistakes, and when they do, they get ostracized, when that Christian that's ostracizing the person probably has 45 skeletons in their own closet, right? And then they get busted for those, and then they say, oh, look at them, you know, when the standard of the Bible is perfection, and it's something that we couldn't achieve. And so that's why we did need Jesus.
That particular phrase is covered on the Sermon on the Mount, on the Sermon on the Mount.
Okay, now
I got you.
Now I'm confused of whether it was on or in the mount.
It's on the mount, not
They
in
were
the
on
mount.
it. They weren't in it.
They were on the mount.
They could have been in
Well,
it.
Jesus was preaching on the mount.
Oh, okay.
You want to split hairs with me? Okay. He said, why are you so worried about the speck in your brother's eye when you have a beam in yours?
Yeah.
Or a log or, you know, whatever.
In the mount, on the mount.
That
Gotcha.
depends on if you read NIV or whatever the other versions are. But
I mean, if you think about it, Jesus, from the time he started his testimony or his work, he was straight at religion, and he was no friend of the construct.
well, that's air quote religious.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing behind it. It's not about religion to me. It's about a relationship with Christ.
I think
that's what it's
Christians,
supposed to be about.
I think Christians still try very hard to crucify Jesus.
Well, they try to crucify each other too.
Yeah. Yeah, and they try to put them up there
you-
on the cross with him. Yeah.
You think that, you know, each person compares their self to somebody else, which is amazing because that's the verse I have lined out. But we can't do that.
Now, you sin
we can't
differently.
do that.
You sin differently than me, therefore I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And you looked at the disciples; they were always vying for the right seat of Jesus. They were always trying to muscle
One
in
up,
there
yeah.
and one up the other one.
And
That's
what'd he
just
tell you?
human nature.
Especially Peter, Larry.
And he kept knocking them down, knocking them down. You know.
I just want to bring this to the note for all the listeners that think Larry cannot get along with atheists or agnostics. I just want to bring this up that Matt is an atheist, and he did mention that he thinks Larry's a good guy. So,
Well, I get along with my brother, and he's agnostic.
yeah. Oh, Matt, we interviewed Larry's brother on this show, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And my sister's an atheist too, and one of my best friends is an atheist as well. So,
Matt, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
how old are you?
53.
Okay, so you're right up there, kind of, sort of in the age frame that I am.
yeah.
Mhm.
Come on,
I said
Larry.
age frame. Okay.
No, that's a big frame, bro. That's a
All
big
right.
frame.
You're the same age group as Mark.
There you go.
I'm a tad bit older.
That's a little more honest. Thank you.
Tad bit.
There you go.
I'm in the next
bracket. Next bracket. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because next bracket would be late 50s, and I'm early 60s.
Were you going somewhere with that, or are you just going to ask him his age?
y'all had to mess with it on there. I have a question. You mentioned something on there that that a lot of atheists that we talk to, and I do talk to atheists outside of here. It's not like I walk around with a sign on me that says Christians only can talk. So I've had a lot of conversations with people about why they don't believe in God.
Mhm.
Most of them say because they can't get proof that God exists.
Okay.
You kind of sort of mentioned that earlier,
Correct.
right? Why do you need proof?
Right. Why do you need proof?
Why do you need proof? Why
well-
do you personally, Matt, need proof that God exists?
To believe in a deity that's all-knowing, all-being, can do everything, see everything, but yet there's complete contradictions about the exact words that are written in the Bible. To me, proof is belief. Proof is truth. Proof is fact. And I need facts. If I go into a courtroom and I'm trying to prove my innocence, I need facts. If somebody's trying to prove my guilt, they need facts. And that's what it is. And faith is not facts. Faith is basically defined as believing in something with no evidence.
Mm-hmm. Faith is.
So that doesn't work for me.
Okay. You mentioned something about. No, I had it in my head. You interrupted. I lost it.
It's my fault.
Mm-hmm. On that one, it is definitely because I had a good counterpoint. Oh, the trial of Jesus. They didn't have proof, and they crucified him anyway.
Okay.
They crucified him on what they said he meant or he believed, and he stood silently and let them. He stood there.
Well,
even if you didn't believe that he was the Son of God or that he had a purpose on this planet, he still stood there. When you talk about facts and contradictions, I would have to debate a little bit of that, and I can't do that in this format, but the Bible is used to verify a lot of history. History buffs will tell you that the most...
Falsely.
I'm sorry?
Falsely. Verify.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can. I love the point that you made about.
I'll let you stand on your statement, and I won't counter punch.
Let me ask you a question, Matt. So
sure.
I asked some of the same questions in every episode, and you actually gave a unique answer on one of them. And so I'm curious to know, what would be your proof that you would need to know that God's real? Is there a line there that this would prove? You don't have one?
To be perfectly honest with you and transparent, I couldn't tell you. If there was such an entity, that entity would know exactly what to do or say or, place upon me to make me realize. Other than that, and going back to the previous conversation when we talked about, Jesus being crucified and this and that, there were thousands, tens of thousands of people crucified for all kinds of things. There were, when we talk about Jesus rising from the dead, there were reportedly thousands of people that rose from the dead. When we talk about facts from the Bible, these are not necessarily facts. There's a lot of falsehood in there. There's a lot of unverified evidence. I wouldn't say evidence, unverified words. We're talking about items very realistically that were handed down from stories, not written, but told stories for decades before they were produced and written down on paper. Just ask yourself this with as many people as I hear talk about, the apostles and or who wrote the Gospels. Well, who wrote the Gospels? Anybody know?
Which one are you talking about? Because Mark wrote Mark, Luke wrote Luke.
Nope.
John wrote John.
Nope.
Yes, it did.
That's incorrect.
Yes, he did.
That is incorrect. Nobody knows who wrote the Gospels.
So you have proof of that?
I have proof of that. We can.
Have you ever watched the movie called A Case for Christ?
No.
Okay. It's written by a former atheist.
That's okay. That's what movies are for, entertainment. But I can tell you, it takes just a little bit of research, and you'll find that there are no verified authors for the gospel.
Do you believe?
I agree with what he's saying here. This is called subjective reasoning, and you will find what you want to believe. And
exactly.
You will build your construct, and for whatever reason, he's made his choice. It sounds like he wants to believe that there is no purpose, there is no design, there is no, I heard sometime somebody saying religion is for man to make sense of his world and the universe. And makes sense to me that there is an ultimate power that created. Just look at my hand. I look at the fact that we're not still mutating and walking out of the jungle, monkeys into humans. I look at the
well, let me ask, you mentioned that. Let me ask you, do you believe in, are you new Earth? Are you old Earth? Do you believe the Earth is more than 6,000 years old?
I don't know. I was raised as Seventh-day Adventist, so they are the 6,000-year-old Earth people. For me, I don't need to know. I don't really care.
That's how I am.
Because the Bible makes all different kinds of variations of time. He states that God stands outside of time.
Yeah, 1,000 years is one year to God, and 1 year is 1,000.
1 day. 1,000 years is like a day is like 1,000 years, meaning that God, the construct of time was developed by him when he created. That's when, so he stands outside of all that, and I don't have to get my head around that, because the cool thing is, for me in my walk with Christ, is I know for sure that he exists. I've talked to him. He's talked to me. He's delivered me from many, many hopeless states of mind and body. And I've seen his power work in my life. Therefore, there's nobody that can tell me he doesn't exist. He exists for me. And I just see so much misery in this world. And it all seems to be people that are, excuse this phrase, but laying around intellectually masturbating and it going nowhere. And people wonder why they're miserable. They're angry. The society's crumbling. You know, I believe we were all encoded with an innate, undeniable genetic desire to know God, to know our Creator and have a relationship with him. At least that's what's happened for me. It's the only peace that I've ever found. Now I have that. Before I was just looking, I went down all those roads. And none of them, I just couldn't find any peace there. So, you know, once again, who can argue a mother man's God? We can sit here and laugh at each other or say, oh my goodness, that's crazy. But how do you, we have these debates sometimes. And so I think it's interesting. I mean, how do you debate this? Or you don't debate it, so how do you learn about it? And if it's contrary, you just sit there and wonder, and I hope that
you can't prove nothing. We can't prove. That's why I said, like, Matt, we'll never be able to prove to you that God. Well, that's why I was going to ask you this. When you were in the church and stuff like that, did you have any like spiritual or anything that you thought was a spiritual experience whenever you were?
Sure.
Sure. What was the main one?
I would, it's funny, because was that Larry that was talking?
No, it was Mark.
It was Larry.
Sorry. This
Mark. Okay. Everything that
it was Larry.
As Mark was, okay. So everything that was being said to me, it sounded like so much projection. So to go to the idea that, if you want to believe something, you're going to find the things that help you to believe it. And that's very much what I did. When I was in the church, I can remember coming home at 8:30 at night from work, driving an hour to get home, and stopping at this little local old Roman Catholic church to pray to the Virgin Mary, and it would make me feel better, and I'd go home and I'd feel better about it. Nothing changed. It's praying is the equivalent of meditating, in my opinion. And there is no proof of any gods. That's really the bottom line. There's never been any proof. There is not any proof. I honestly, in my opinion, don't believe there ever will be any proof. And if there is, whoever has that proof has, where's their Nobel Prize? That's kind of the thing. And when
it was interesting,
Larry was mentioning,
sorry to interrupt. It was interesting. We had a former witch who was in a
cult.
No, yeah, she was in a sensory deprivation chamber, and she got her proof. Jesus came straight to her and told her, "You're gonna stop this. You're now gonna follow me." So I just think that's interesting because we talk about proof. It's fun because the Bible says
that's not proof.
Hold on.
But that's not proof.
If Jesus came to you,
no, that's not proof to you.
Right, that's what he's saying.
Period.
That was proof to her.
Hold on, let's not.
Right, and I believe that.
Hold on. If Jesus came to you, Matt, that wouldn't be if you were in a sensory, fully awake, had all your faculties. If Jesus came to you and asked you to follow him, you wouldn't.
If something I thought was Jesus came to me to ask me to follow, I would be more concerned with what did I just go through?
That's what I say. What would be your next move? Would you go to a doctor? Would you go to a a psychologist, or would you pray? Which one of those things would you do?
No, I would take it as a hallucinogenic. I mean, deprivation chambers are very known for that. They're widely known to help people hallucinate. They give you this out of body experience. I listen, if that's what she said, I truly 100% believe she believes that. I have no doubt that she believes that, just as I have no doubt that when Larry said that nobody can prove to me that God doesn't exist. Hey, I believe you believe that, man, and that's your right to believe that. I, on the other hand, I'm more for analytics. I'm more for facts. I'm more for truth, and I am more for doing and not just saying.
Okay, well, on that lineage or lineage right there, do you have? Let me ask. I know this is an off-base question, but do you have proof that Neptune exists?
No.
Okay, because I don't either. I mean, we're just taking somebody's word for it, right?
Sure.
And I mean, I've talked to a few flat earthers, and to them, everything it makes sense that the world is flat. And, you hear the conspiracy about man being on the moon. It didn't actually happen. It was all done in Hollywood. So I understand that we've been misled on a lot of different things. I don't know what to believe on the moon thing. I don't care. To be honest with you, it doesn't have anything to do with me. But,
how does that affect my life today?
Not at all. Not at all.
It would me.
Yeah.
It would me like the capacity to why would you spend millions of dollars to
the government in this country has lied to you about so much stuff. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm just saying I'd be sincerely concerned about that. Yeah. Yes.
But when you sit here and you say who wrote the Gospels, yet you don't have enough fact for that. Who did the writings of Plato? Who did Homer's writings?
Homer and Plato did.
No, you don't have any proof of that. You don't have any more proof of that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have any more proof of that than I have. Absolutely. That the Gospels was written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, or that Acts was written by Paul. You don't have any more proof of that than I do.
The Gospels have been proven not to have been written by Matthew, Mark, John, Luke.
Honestly,
they weren't. And you can find this information. You don't have to go to a seedy website or anything like that. There's, Talk Origins. Go to Talk Origins and look some of this stuff up. Go to any honest religious faculty that you can find, and they're going to tell you, no, we don't know who wrote the Gospels. They're there. There's plenty of unverified information. There's, and the idea that, let me put it this way. I love my wife. I love my son very much. I would never set my house on fire and throw my son into it because he didn't love me.
Nor would I.
You don't.
But yet there's hell.
You don't think it's wild, like the universal constants that all the things that have to continually happen for there to be life sustained on this one planet out of however many there is. God only knows. You don't think that's wild? Like, that's why I think there's enough proof, right? Like I think it's reasonable to ascertain that all humans are mortals, right? Though that's something that we will never be able to prove, right? We'll never be able to prove that. But I think it's reasonable to say that all humans are mortals. And I'm sure you would agree with that. I also think it's reasonable.
We die. We live and we die.
Right.
That's mortality.
But we can't prove, we can't prove that. We can't prove that.
Sure, we die. People die every day.
Well, I
proof that you're mortal.
But I said all humans are mortal. Every single human that is alive right now is mortal. There's not one immortal person walking the earth. That's a claim that cannot be proven.
That's a claim that cannot be proven right now. I agree with that.
It can't be proven ever.
I couldn't prove it. Yeah, I couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
Well,
no one can.
200 years.
Even
if 200 years, it could be proven.
Even if you're the last person on Earth, you're going to die and then not know whether you are immortal.
Oh, now we're into Schroeder's cat. Yeah. Is the cat really in the box? Is it alive? Is it breathing?
Well,
not unless I observe it.
Someone let my ADD take that down the rabbit hole. But anyway,
to help you with that, we could look up the hundreds of billions of people that have been on the earth, and there's 8 billion right now. If we took a census today of every living person, in 200 years, I would bet my paycheck to $1 that unless science comes up with something magnificent, anybody on that list is no longer going to be existing.
Do you know what blows my mind the most about, like, if all of this is random, the earth, everything on it, everything else is random, why is everything so coordinated? Why is there not one immortal walking around? That something just randomly happens, a 1 out of a billion chance. Okay, why doesn't a person randomly pop off and live for 300 years then? Like,
That's a great question.
Why don't random events happen like that?
That is a fantastic question, and they do. We constantly hear about people who live to be, 115 or 120 or whatever it is. We constantly hear about these anomalies, but when we talk about the things happening randomly, that's kind of a mixed bag, because as we've evolved, we've made things easier, better for us. We've, ruined the earth, so to speak. A few more billion people, where most of us probably won't be here. Our water's deplenishing. It goes back to the old adage about a puddle suddenly waking up and saying, "Oh, look at this hole I'm in. It fits me perfectly. That must have been made specifically for me." It's not. We've evolved to this. The earth is not this great subtle place where we live in peace and harmony. Man, there's hurricanes and tornadoes and tsunamis and, there's earthquakes. I mean, volcanoes going off. It is not this great soft place that, this Eden, if you will. It's just not. And I don't, when I mention evolution, we're a branch off of a tree. We're a cousin of a cousin of a cousin to an ape somewhere down the line.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
There is no proof of that.
There absolutely is.
No, there's not. There's never been a fossil at all found that shows a mix between species.
Where's the missing?
You're not going to see it. See, this is why I asked about the.
Even Darwin discounted it because of the lack of that information.
I'm not Darwin. I'm Matt. So we're going to talk to Matt. So
I understand that, but you're using Darwin's theory.
When we talk about, and what is Darwin's theory?
His theory was of evolution, that we're cousins of cousins.
Elaborate. Right. And we can find DNA from plants and flowers in our DNA.
So,
this is factual.
I have another question.
No, you can't.
Well, let me just evolve back this, because either you don't want to agree because you don't want to lose your position, or you just have not taken the time to actually study these things because you're disagreeing with me.
Full-blown debate is what this is.
No, we're not debating. We're discussing.
Give me a break.
We're not debating.
Come on.
So here's the thing. So the reason I ask about about what you believe in as far as how long the earth has been around, there's said to be between mankind, as far as, actually getting up and walking Neanderthals or Cro-Magnons, whatever, between 100 and 200,000 years. So let's say 100,000 years. The thing that people really have a hard time with is how long 100,000 years actually is. What happens in 100,000 years? Look at your iPhone in front of you now and tell me what that iPhone did 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The advancement is so incredible. It is just ridiculous. If we took and stretched our arms and we went from the tip of one finger to the tip of the other finger, and we said, okay, just for giggles, we're going to say that this was the Big Bang, and this is where we are now, from tip to tip. If you took that entire space and you took a file and just brushed it across your nail, that would wipe out the existence of all life that we've ever known or recorded. That's how time works. That's how minimal we are.
That's heavy. That's a lot of thinking. And I guess we got it. We got to all do a lot of thinking for each one of our deals. Huh? So
yeah, and hey man, I don't discount anybody's. Listen, if what you believe is what you believe, and it helps you and makes you happy, I think it's great. I think AA is great for people who are having substance abuse.
So you're not you're not of the atheist crowd of tear it all down. And
I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, the whole fact of I hear you talk. It sounds to me like you're believe what you want to believe. I'll believe this. You believe that. It's fantastic, and I think that's nice. I mean, I've had a couple of people that were atheists that I've seen that are vocal about just being angry anti-God and angry anti-Christian. And, my philosophy always was, why are you getting so upset about something that you don't believe exists? I don't get it. But it doesn't sound like you're of that ilk. So it's interesting to listen to you.
I heard him say that he thinks Christianity is harmful.
I did hear him say that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
religion in general.
If a petition,
religion in general.
If a petition was circulating to outlaw Christianity, would you sign it?
That'd be a tough one, man. I don't know if I could sign that. I do think that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that, because I have some mixed emotions on that, because I do believe that in this country, you should have the right to believe in what you want to believe in, whether it's, God, whether it's Zeus, whether it's Apollo, whether it's purple unicorn with pixie dust.
But not worldwide.
That's up to you.
You don't think all of humanity? You don't think all of humanity should be able to have that choice? I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
So you would not sign the petition?
I don't think I could. I mean, I don't think I could. Really don't.
You'd want to, but you don't think it'd be the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it, because I'll tell you, when someone else's beliefs begin to hurt others, that's when I have a problem.
But you think that about, I noticed that atheists are starting, not atheists, but I should say deconstructionalists is starting to paint that picture that Christianity is harmful to people. Like it's starting to harm other people.
It is. I think it is, personally. Okay. I really do.
Can you explain to me in your life experience? I'm just curious about you. How has it hurt you? I heard you talk about your son saying that. Maybe help us understand that.
Yeah. So for starters, for me, when you're growing up, you're relying on the people around you to point you in the right direction. And if someone's pointing you in a direction of this disbelief, if they're telling you that, hey, Santa Claus is real, you believe that until you're, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, you figure it out and you move on. Well, when you continue to be told that Santa Claus is real, and now you're 15, you're 19, you believe in magic, you believe that these miracles can happen. They just don't. There's no proof of it. There's no proof of any of that happening, and that breaks somebody down.
People say that according to you, I'm indoctrinating to my daughters, but according to me, I'm teaching them a valuable lesson that I did not get taught. For example, I'm teaching them how to identify the voice of the Holy Spirit and to follow. Because, if anybody drinks from the well of Christianity, it's me. Larry and Mark. I mean, I believe in the powers of the Holy Spirit. I believe in miracles. I've seen them. They would have to be either defined as a complete and utter coincidence or a miracle, either way, right? But I'm going to teach my daughters how to. Now, granted, everyone in their life is going to have to come to a crossroads someday, and they're going to have to make a choice for themselves. It doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have to make that choice. But I'm teaching them how to listen to the Holy Spirit, how to follow the Holy Spirit, answering their questions and stuff like that. I don't consider that indoctrination. I just really believe in this. I really believe this is truth, and I'm teaching them as it is. Wouldn't you think that, if I am Christian, I should teach my kids that because I truly believe it, right? I would think that you would respect me less if I just let my kids believe just let my kids do whatever. That would mean I don't believe it, because I believe in the value of listening to the Holy Spirit, learning how to identify the differences in the voices that you do hear, right? And learning how to follow that in their life, because if I would have learned that sooner, I feel like my life would have went in a better direction sooner, if that makes sense. I don't consider that indoctrination.
I understand everything you're saying, and I wholeheartedly believe that you believe that. From the outside point of view, which is what I have, to me that is indoctrination. That is, it's false belief. There's no. When I step back now as an atheist and look at Christianity, I can see what I used to think. Everything that you're saying, I get it. I whole 100%. I get it, man. I used to argue for it. I used to argue for, God, and I used to argue for miracles, and how could this not be a miracle? It's not. It happened. It is a coincidence. Coincidence happens all the time. And I don't think you're trying to be malicious. I don't think you're trying to be a bad person. I think you're doing exactly what you mentioned. That's what you wholeheartedly believe in, and that's what you want to pass on to the next generation, yours. I believe you believe that. I disagree with it. To me, it would be no different than continuing to have a child believe in Santa Claus their entire life.
Well, I get the same as you. The same as you. I get why people don't believe too, because I've struggled with my own amount of disbelief. Like, you've got people like Larry that will literally fight someone on the street if they don't believe, right? And you got someone like me that I've been there, man. I've been there, so I understand why people don't believe. But that's why I feel like getting together and just showing love to one another and showing that it's still possible. I feel like that's the main goal, because I know that nothing that we say in here is going to convince you that God exists. And I know that nothing that you say, that nothing you say is going to convince us that God doesn't exist, right? So the whole point.
I just got you on the time. Didn't I just get you deep on the time?
No, not me. I have ADD, bro. I'm gonna have to listen to that when I edit it. I checked out. Mark, listen though.
Listen, man. I am telling you, man. When I actually started to look at, in my opinion, reality and thinking, okay, yeah, because I would listen to people go, hey, man, if we came from monkeys, which that's not the case. If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
That's my
I don't
question.
know. Why is there still? Well, let me answer it like this: why do we still have ribs? If we have women, why do we still have dirt? If we had Adam, it's the same thing.
I'm gonna share something with you that's highly embarrassing, but I'm gonna share this with you. It was less than a year ago that I found out that men and women actually have the same amount of ribs.
Imagine that, right?
Seriously. I was like, what? Yeah. That's crazy, man. It was like less than a year ago. That's how dumb I am. I'm telling you guys, I am not smart. I keep telling you guys this. Okay, we have a guest in studio. His name's Lyndall, and he has a question for you. He's got a mic. He wants to ask you a question.
Sure.
Oh, Matt, I want to kind of lay out my position, and then real quick, I want to get your take on it. You've commented there are no miracles, where I've experienced several miracles. I've had doctors tell me I was going to die 4 times, yet I'm still here. So, science has no explanation. There is no proof, but, I have it on paper where I used to be a diabetic. Science tells you diabetic can't be cured. Diabetics don't heal. I had foot surgery. They wanted to cut off my leg. I still have all my toes. And the big fear was the reason they wanted to take off so much is because diabetics don't heal. But after being told I was a diabetic and would have that the rest of my life, I was healed of it and have been without any type of diabetic medication for 8 years. I'm just using one example. There's many more. But
someone in our church was healed from Parkinson's disease too. That one kind of got me.
Yeah, Sandy.
And I realize you didn't witness this. I can't show you the paperwork. But my point is there's, hundreds of thousands of people that claim miracles. And like I say, I witnessed it firsthand myself. I see other people that I know are in one situation one day, and we all pray for them, and it miraculously defies science, and they don't suffer from whatever condition before. Or, financial miracles, somebody that's down and destitute, next time they're blessed. What is your take on why is it you refuse to believe? I don't know if you've experienced that. You talk about you used to fight for miracles. Does it just go back to your statement about there is no proof? You didn't firsthand experience it, so you don't believe other people's proof?
Well, Lyndall, I think it's a great question, so thank you for asking, and it's great that you're still around. And I will tell you, let's say you said that you had diabetes your entire life. Is that right?
No, I contracted as a young adult.
Okay, contracted as a young adult. How long did you have diabetes, just out of by chance?
I think it was about 20 years.
About 20 years. Did science get any better in 20 years?
Well, to this day, they still tell you that you can't be healed of diabetes. They they want to put you on a lifetime of medication.
Sure. And that and everything else they want you on medication for.
Absolutely.
And you said you take nothing for your diabetes now, correct?
No.
And your health is perfect, correct?
I am fighting some of the damage caused by diabetes. I recently had a kidney transplant because of the damage that the diabetes and some of the medications that science gave me. They attribute a lot of the damage I'm fighting right now because of medications I took. Because everything you take has
an effect.
Side effects.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can see that easily. So the point that I'm making is, you had diabetes. Do you eat any better now? Do you eat the same as you always did?
I'm glad you asked that as well. I had gone through, one of the other miracles I had was I had become obese, and they kept telling me, lose weight, lose weight. So I did. And in doing that and praying for my diet, God released me from an addiction to Dr. Pepper. I lived and breathed for Dr. Pepper back then. I lost a ton of weight, cut my weight in half, and I still had diabetes. I was very disappointed because this was my doctors telling me you got to lose the weight, because I was also fighting Hep C at the time.
I got you.
But,
So, I understand. I completely understand. You believe it was a miracle that you were able to lose weight. I hear you say,
no, the lose weight was diet and exercise. But what my point was, I still had the diabetes. The change in diet, you were alluding to a change in diet and stuff, trying to fight it. I had gone through all that and still had diabetes, was still taking the medications and still getting the damage.
No, I get it. I get it. My mother-in-law takes insulin every day. She has to take insulin every day. I don't know that she takes anything other than insulin. I don't know if you did. I don't know how severe it was. It sounds like it was pretty bad.
I was on metformin, and it's famous for causing damage to your legs.
Well, here's my logical standpoint from all this miracle stuff, right? And miracles is like one of my favorite part. There's one in the church that I talk about multiple times in this podcast, and I'll just mention it again because it's one of these things where it can only be one thing or the other. But there's this woman that came to a women's conference that we have every year at Discovery Church. It's called Brave, okay? And she came here with cancer in her stomach somewhere, I think. And a group of women, we believe in laying hands on and touching and praying and stuff like that. And this group of women came over and touched her and started praying. And about that time, she felt a pop in her belly. And she just kind of said, oh. And they said, what happened? She said, I just felt a pop in my belly. And they prayed and prayed and prayed. Well, anyway, she went back to her doctor that next week, and she was completely cured from cancer. And when I look at something like that, I go, okay. I look at things logically as well. I'm like, okay, well, wait a second. What could have possibly been happening here? It's one of three things, right? One thing could be our church set that up, right? The leadership of the church set that up for that to happen, and they faked it, right? It was a big fraud. It was a bamboozle. It was a show. They did it on purpose so people would believe that healings happen at Discovery Church, right? And I look at that from my experience in law enforcement and stuff like that. I start to think that people can't really, especially a secret of that magnitude, people cannot keep that hush hush. Someone's going to spill the beans. Someone's going to get mad at the leadership because they didn't pay them good enough, and it's all going to get out, right? And it hasn't. Another thing is that it was a complete coincidence that the minute that they touched her, that pop happened and she was cured of cancer, whatever happened, that was a complete and utter coincidence. Or the third thing is it was a miracle from God that she was healed right then. And you hear, like Lyndall said, you hear hundreds and thousands of accounts. And I'm willing to say that maybe that was a coincidence. I think it's very unlikely that it was a coincidence at that moment, but I'm willing to say that I cannot prove that it wasn't, right? But here's what I will say. Mm-hmm. There's hundreds and thousands of accounts of this stuff happening, right? And for God to be real and for miracles to be true, only one of them have to be right. And I'm like, what's the likelihood of one of them being a miracle from God? Just one. I mean, it's almost astounding. I would say zero. Well, to me, it's almost a resounding evident that it's from God, right? But that's where we draw the line. There's this line that we come to, right? And you either have to jump one way or jump the other. And you're jumping one way and I'm jumping the other. And I don't really, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think you're silly for jumping the other way. And I don't think I'm silly for jumping the other way.
May I ask a hypothetical here of Matthew?
Yeah, go ahead, Little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on where you're at right now, and you've expressed a great love for your son, if something were to happen to him or yourself or somebody else that you genuinely cared about and meant the world to, and they got the same news I told you I had 4 times that I was going to die, that science had nothing to offer me, if they were in that situation and you had friends, whatever, you saw something on TV talking about miracles, would you not give that a chance? If there was no other options in your world, then there might be a God and there might be a miracle available to your son. Would you not at least give that a shot?
No, I would not personally, because like God, miracles has never been proven. There's actually been studies from colleges that have taken a blind study of 100 people or whatever the number is, and half of them would tell them to pray for one thing, and the other half they would just wish for it, and the numbers are exactly the same.
Sounds like something they do in Berkeley.
yeah. There's absolutely no proof of it, and I understand the point of what you're saying, and it's great for heartstrings, because anybody who does believe would be like, oh, this heartless jerk wouldn't, aim for a miracle for his kid. And I don't, the same way that I would not, to me, that's the same thing as somebody saying, hey, listen, if you just pray to this flying purple unicorn, it will come down and it will heal your son. And that's what to me, that's what that is.
Well, to me, you wouldn't be a very good atheist. You wouldn't be a very good. You're not a real atheist. Just like me, if I was not teaching my kids how to follow the Holy Spirit and listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit, I'm not a real Christian. And so, if you were going to look for a miracle, you're not a real atheist. You're not a true atheist, right? So, like I said, I hope you respect me more for following what I believe to a T, and I at least want you to. I want you to be intellectually honest. I want you to be honest about your beliefs as well. And I think your answer, your son, even though there probably are listeners that say that it was heartless, I think it's consistent with what you're saying during this show. So I appreciate that. Okay, we're at 1 hour and 34 minutes, so we need to go. We're going to do the rounds, Matt, that I talked about in the beginning. Okay.
All right,
Mark.
Who am I talking to here?
Matt. His name's
right.
Matt.
I meant that figuratively, because Matt's door is closed. Right?
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm talking to the other people out here. I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know that I could ever find peace there. In fact, I know I couldn't. I believe Matt has found something that evidently he says works for him, and I got to believe take him at his word for that. That certainly wasn't my story. I'm trying to live life under my own self-propulsion. Didn't work out very well for me at all, and I'm just glad there's a loving God out there, and I'm thankful for Jesus Christ and the relationship I have with him. I guess that's it.
Amen.
Anybody over there? Lyndall or Angela?
No.
Nope. Okay. Larry?
Matt, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Sure.
May I please read the last two verses of John?
That's completely up to you, bud.
He reads a Bible verse every show. It's a tradition.
Yeah, it's John 21,
Yeah.
24 and 25. This is the disciple.
Who wrote John?
Huh?
He said, "Who wrote John?"
Come on, Matt. You said you'd let him read it.
Do not,
No?
Stop that.
do not fire him back up again,
Okay,
please,
now-
for the love of God.
I'm going to answer that question.
God dang it.
I'm going to answer that question for you. John 21, 24. This is the disciple who testifies to these things, who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true.
Oh, okay.
Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would to be written.
Oh, so you read the Bible verse that's proving that John wrote John. Gotcha.
Have a blessed day.
You know what you're doing, Matt, don't you? You know Larry gets fired up easy, and that's what he did. Okay. All right. So I'll say my parting phrase. We got to find a better way to what we call these things. We just call it the round usually. But Matt, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you being respectful and honest and truthful about your beliefs. I got what, Mark, would you say you have peace? Complete and utter peace?
Did you say Mark or Matt?
Matt. I'm saying Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, because
Yes.
Mark says he found peace in Jesus. Would you say you do have peace?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as I can, I suppose,
Right.
to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate we generally are able to have very respectful conversations, and I respect another one from you. And thank you for taking your time out of your day to spend with us. And at least when we're honest, I mean, those things are really hard to hear when you hear someone that thinks that Christianity, that they may or may not sign the petition to outlaw Christianity. Those things are very hard to hear. They cause emotions in people that make them act a different way. It makes me feel uncomfortable too, but I think they're all important to hear. I don't quite know what to do with the feelings that I have right now, but I imagine we'll figure it out. But it's just one of those things that that I think we as a Christianity needs to hear these things about where society, and I think more and more and more people are starting to think that way, and I think we need to hear it. So I appreciate you being honest with us about that. And if you ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me, man. And I don't mean like anything like, prayer or anything like that. But I just mean like, if you need anything like man to man, human to human, let me know.
Sure.
And the floor is yours, brother.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I think I found it to be productive. I'm not within arm's reach of Larry, so he can't grab a hold of me. So that was also a plus. But I will say one of the things that I've learned, and believe me, if I'm saying something, it's just that's the way I feel about it. I'm not going to go out of my way to try to offend somebody or hurt somebody's feelings or anything. So if that happened at any point, it was not intentional, and I would absolutely be a man and apologize to somebody. Having said that, here's one of the big differences to me, and if you guys had just 30 seconds to respond, I'd love to hear it. When I think of atheism and I think of religion, the difference is this to me. If somebody religious is driving down the street in the rain and they see somebody changing the tire, they'll say, I'll pray for them. The atheist will stop and help them change the tire.
Faith without works is dead faith. The person that says they'll pray for the person that's hungry but does nothing to feed them,
they're not following their religion.
They're not following their religion. So, and I'm actually I'm not quoting a Bible verse, but that's actually
faith without works is dead.
I'm paraphrasing a Bible verse that it says that Jesus says that, like, if you see a widow that's in need of food and you say God bless her, but you don't actually give her food, then that means nothing in our worldview.
There you go.
So now I get what you're saying. A lot of atheists and people that we speak about how Christians act, and they are valid in thinking that way because that's how a lot of human beings act. A lot of human beings are not okay people, and a lot of Christians don't follow what they do. But our Bible that we believe in, that we do our best to follow, says that would not be okay either. So that's what my response would be to that.
I like it. Zach, Mark, Angela, Larry, Wendell, you guys have been fun. If you ever need an honest opinion from an atheist, feel free to reach out to me.
All right, Matt. Gotcha, brother. All right. Take care, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Matt, for your opinion.
See ya.
All right, bye.
You're welcome, man. Bye.
God dang, dude.
Here's what I don't know what to do with. My zealot, I have zeal for my God. And when Matt calls my God Santa Claus and a joke and
well, I like the unicorn part too.
The unicorn stuff that fires up a Larry response, a natural human response.
I didn't get heated,
but because
you did.
The simple fact is,
I did not. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be heated.
You were
and I
taking
wasn't
it out
trying to
on
be
me,
rude.
which is unfair. That's not fair at all, dude.
Guys.
How did I take it out on you?
I am really trying to be in the middle here.
You're like blaming
me. I already saw this coming, and I'm like, I'm trying to come in as the counselor.
I almost walked out.
Well,
for what?
Okay,
I almost walked out because I don't want to be a part of a debate show.
We weren't doing a debate.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, by far.
How is that?
It did come across as being debated.
Yeah, it did. But what I'm saying is, was having the exact same impulse, because what are we supposed to do? Just pat his hand and tell him it's okay, buddy? You know?
No, but like
it's difficult.
I didn't even do the 0 plus 0. He never actually said his opinion on what he believed or how the planet came to be.
Here's what I want us to be careful of, because I don't think that was happening here. Because I don't think Matt was studying us and how we react and stuff like that. But but he pegged you pretty quick, and he knew how to get you wound up towards the end there. But people are going to start watching this show, and as it gets more popular, which it's naturally growing, obviously, they're going to figure out what pisses Larry off, and they're going to do it. Well, and then you're going to get pissed, and then they're going to get what they want.
I think it's
even... No, I just showed the invalidity. I feel the invalid opinion if you're going to discount everything that's written here by whom it is written, but yet on the same belief, you can believe that Plato wrote Plato and Homer wrote the works of Homer. You can believe that.
Yeah.
But why?
I get what you're saying. I think.
Why? I mean, there's no proof they wrote it any more than the Gospels.
I think what we're missing the point is it's our approach to the thing. Like, I could clearly tell that you got angry. You were upset.
I thought I was controlling it very well.
You're going like this. I mean, you were like jumping. It was more like this. You were going like this, falling off the cliff, and then you were bouncing back up.
No, I was writing. I was actually looking for.
Can we do this? Can I
get my answer from God. That's why the Bible is open. And when I feel God is telling me to flip pages, I flip pages and I get
Can we have a compromise? Can we do a compromise right here?
Because this is almost an impossible situation.
I know, but can I have a compromise? Can we do this? Larry, look at me. Larry, look at me. Because I'm trying to find a way, because I know that I can't stop you from refuting people, right? But you're writing everything down on a notebook. So can we just wait before you refute people? Can we refute them at the end?
Oh, that sounds reasonable.
Can we? I think that's a reasonable request.
The hardest thing you're asking me to do is give people an opportunity, and I'm going
to talk smack on Jesus.
Hold on. I'm going to air quote this, to give their opinion unabashed.
Why did Jesus heal the ear that Peter cut off? Why didn't he just leave it chopped off?
I didn't try to cut the guy's ear off.
I know you tried to chop his arm off.
That was not my intention.
Answer my question. Answer my question.
It was not my intention. I mean, at least he actually answered a good answer on the Neptune question. I mean, because if you don't believe anything else, then why are you believing something else that you can't believe in? So, hey, at least I respected that.
What did Jesus call? I'm not calling you this, but what did Jesus call Peter whenever Jesus was going to go to?
What does Proverbs say? A man is that don't believe in God. You're not letting me talk.
I don't think you respect me.
No, I think it's that me and Larry both wanted to go Old Testament on this guy. And you keep saying, what with Jesus? And that's interesting because I keep thinking I have a zeal for my God.
I think that's okay.
And when you talk smack on my God and you start calling him names,
I've never seen you worked up before, and you were everything in you.
I had a visceral reaction myself, and that's difficult. And so what we have to think about is, okay, yeah, what does Jesus say of how to deal with people like this? I don't know. I don't know if he addressed this.
Yeah, it kind of sort of did. If they don't believe you in the village that you go in, they won't listen to you. Knock the dust off your sandals and go to the next village.
I'm not being given an opportunity to speak because I have a point here to make.
Sorry, let's hear.
That's what I'm saying. I don't feel like I'm being respected. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that to hurt anybody's feeling. I don't think you respect me. I really don't. And the reason why I think that is because you interrupt me whenever I'm trying to do it. Whenever I'm trying to take the show away from a direction that you're taking it, you'll be like, you get frustrated with me and you'll swat me off and you'll raise your voice to me and stuff like that. Larry, I do not want to participate in the Help My Unbelief podcast if it's a debate show. I'm just going to say that 100% honest. I do not want to be a part of this show if it's a debate show. Now, hold on. I'm going to make a point. You interrupt me and you do it, and I'm gonna make a point right here, okay? And at the end of it, we got to come to a conclusion of what this is because we're 27 episodes in, okay? Now, I'll say this: the point, what I'm saying is, Jesus healed the man's ear that Peter chopped off, right? Jesus also called Peter Satan whenever Peter was saying, you're not going to the cross, you're not dying. There ain't no way you're going to die not under my watch. Mm-hmm. You're my friend. I'm not going to let you die. Jesus called him Satan. Why? Because Peter was trying to go outside of the will of God. He was trying to get Jesus to go outside of the will of God. Okay? I believe that the will of God for this show is for it not to be a debate show, for it to be a loving conversation show. Okay? Now I want you to pay attention. I'm sitting here silent because I don't know how to process the things that he's saying. But I think a good example of what to do is how Mark handled it. Okay? How Mark navigated the questions, and Mark was I want to understand, okay? Just like I said at the end, I don't know what to do with the fact that he would sign he would have to, okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a question about that. Now, this guy, the only reason why he wouldn't sign a petition to outlaw Christianity is because he has loved ones that are Christians. What happens when the majority of the world doesn't have loved ones? They're going to sign the petition, right? That's going to come. Maybe not in our lifetime, but that's coming. And that's coming quick, right? And I agree with you. I'm scared too, Larry. I'm uncomfortable too. I'm uncomfortable with this show too. I don't like giving people open airspace to talk about witchcraft and how they serve Satan and stuff like that. That's why sometimes I feel like you guys make me out to be the bad guy. I don't like this either, but this show is different. We're coming after these people in a different way, and that's what I'm passionate about. That's the way I want to do. I don't want to be another Christian apologetics show where we're setting people up with questions on how to refute them, because you're never going to prove him wrong. There's nothing you're going to say that's going to be like, I've never thought of it that way.
This is a really good point, Zach, and we both, I think, agree with exactly what you're saying. But that don't make it easy.
No. That's why I don't
make it easy.
That's why I'm trying to make a compromise with you, because I understand it's hard. I understand it's probably easier for me. It's more natural. I defend you in private all the time about like, hey, listen, like everybody talks about how poised I am and stuff like this on the show. It's just the way I am. You actually have to fight these things off. So you're way stronger than I am in that regards, right? So all I'm asking is for a little bit of a compromise. It's just, start doing it at the end of the show. You're writing it down. You've got your points. Let's start refuting those main points or whatever. If you got 100 of them, let's do that at the end. That way, whenever we're building this rapport with the guest and we're building a rapport with them, and they, they're going to say what they want to say, and then at the end we can tell them why we disagree with it. Because I don't want to close the show. I don't want to close the show with open airwaves like that.
I can honestly say I don't intentionally disrespect you, but if your definition of disrespect is interrupting someone when they're talking, then we're both guilty of it.
No,
that's not a one-sided.
I'm talking
thing,
about
friend.
Not the interrupted. I'm talking about whenever I'm trying to take the show in a different direction. I'm clearly trying to do that. And you're like, no, we're going this way anyway.
He's talking about mutiny on the Bounty, Larry.
Yeah.
You're grabbing the steering wheel.
I didn't
try.
That's what he says.
Yeah. I can just tell why you're trying to do it. I'm not dumb, Larry. I may be a baby Christian or whatever you want to call me. I may be all this stuff, but I'm not, I know why people do what they do. And I can tell that you're like, no, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like, and I'm trying to navigate the show.
You're incorrect.
I can tell that things are getting heated, and I'm trying to swerve off of it. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the heck out of there. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to take it into a different direction. That way we can go somewhere else besides in a debate network. That's what I'm trying to do. We probably shouldn't be having that. I mean, we always have these talks online anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
our morals, in my opinion, come from the word of the Lord. Comes from the direction of the Lord. Because without the morals that the Holy Word puts into us, and without the action of turning the Word into action, then there is no love for each other. Because without restraint that the Lord gives me, I would kill anybody that disobeyed, or not disobeyed, but disagreed with me. Because my opinion would be the only one that mattered. Because if I didn't have the morals, and the Bible says do not kill, then where did those morals come from?
Are you trying to prove to me that God's real?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that through that, you want me to sit here and I ask simple questions, trying to figure out what to ask, but I'm not supposed to ask questions? I'm a little confused right now. I'm not trying to take the wheel of the show or any other thing on this at all.
All right, let's get out. We're at 2 hours anyway. Let's get off the show.
Okay.
We got to get off, and we'll talk about it in private. So we'll talk about it in private.
It's a very unique design that takes some fancy dance steps sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody understands the position that I'm in this situation. So I don't think anybody understands it. So it's a difficult one. But anyway, say your thing. Let's get out of here. We'll be back next week.
Jesus loves you, and so do I.
Thank you for watching. We are out.
I'll take you home.
Thank you so much for listening to the Help My Unbelief podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And more importantly, tune in every Tuesday at 9 a.m. for new episodes.